Hey there, friends. You stay there. This is your build discussion. We spent a few days this week working on the Fatman mini nuke launcher, and I wanted to show you what we've done so far. Now, my goal by the end of this week was to get this thing so I could fire stuff, and guess what? I can't. I'll just show you right away, and then I'll walk you through the features. So this is the sled that our ordnance sits in, and this whole thing pulls backwards along this rubber band, or not along it, but against the rubber band to give it some tension. So that goes back. I pull the trigger to release the catch, and I let go of the trigger, and it's stuck on the back there, ready to fire. I even have a safety pin. Safety pin to put back here while it's in the ready to fire position like this. If I have that safety pin in, it can't fire, so we can't have any accidents if we're gonna set something up while we're doing a shoot or filming. So we have safety. This goes right in there, and then let's aim it up a little bit. Let's see how far. It doesn't shoot very far, but let's see how far it can go. Safety pin removed. Holding the base down and firing in 3, 2, 1. Yeah! And it sails true. It doesn't topple or anything. It doesn't get old. So I'm really happy that that worked the way it did. All right, let me show you what we have. Everything is built on these 2020 extrusions. It's all aluminum extrusion, and that has been so useful. All of these parts are attached using that extrusion non-permanently, so I can unscrew everything. The sled, this is the sled that holds our mini nuke. That is attached to this rubber band, and that's how we get our propulsion. And then there's some bumpers up here so that it has something to stop against when it's flying forward. And then this paddle on the back here pushes the whole thing forward as it flies. This might not actually have to be that tall. I may tinker with that a little bit, but I do know that this works. So as it's going forward, that's pushing the projectile forward. This part here, the rubber band rotates around that. I'm going to replace that with maybe some bearings or something that's more appropriately diametered, if that's a word, so that the rubber band rotates around there a little better. It's kind of janky right now. I think that's going to help. Down around here, these plates, I've cut out a bunch of things like this. Those attach to the extrusion just for structure to hold it together. And then there's these really cool like T-nut things that go in there, so that I can unscrew these and slide them back and forth and then tighten them down again, which I've had to do to make room for my rubber band. Over here's the trigger, and there's a cable in there, and that's what pulls. If we look over here, that pulls the catch right there. I set up more of these things because I bought a ton of them, why not? To guide the cable to where it needs to go so that it's not interfering with our rubber band here, and that seems to work really well. This is the other end of the rubber band, so as I pull the sled back, that gets tighter, and just like many of the other parts, these can be unscrewed and adjusted to adjust the tension. Now I think the ordnance flew true, but I think it'd be great if it was a little more powerful. So I may try doubling up the rubber band to get more oomph out of it. We'll see. I could just move this back as far as possible and see if that helps, but I feel like I'm gonna want some more rubber bands on that. But if you have some ideas about how I can get a little more oomph, a little more zing out of this fella, let me know in the comments. I'd be happy to hear from you. Okay, the last bit of engineering is right down here, the catch. I spent a lot of time getting this really dialed in so that there isn't a lot of slack in the system, and so that when I let go of the trigger, it'll actually return. So I had to make another plate right here to hold the spring, and also I could loosen this and pull it back to put more tension on the spring if I had to, but I kind of got it dialed in right now really well. The only real downside is that there's so much tension on this that when the sled comes back, it doesn't want to slide over that. I have to pull the trigger, slide it back, and then let go of the trigger, and it's good to go. So that's how you would arm it. I don't see any way around that. There's just a lot of tension right there. So I'm happy with that, and I'm gonna focus my engineering effort elsewhere. I'm also going to slowly let this forward so it doesn't go flying. See, that has enough tension to keep this whole thing from flying forward even when it's not in front of it. Just there, if I let go of the trigger, it won't slide forward. So that's quite a lot of tension there. Back in the middle here, this is the 3D printed part that kind of does a lot of the, I don't know, heavy lifting, mostly to house the trigger, and then I have a handle that will eventually go right there. And then there's a foregrip that's gonna go in there too. This, I've got a hole in it so I can put a threaded rod in there to give it a little more strength, but that'll just get glued in there eventually. It'll probably be one of the last things we do. Overall, I am very happy with how this has gone so far. Did a lot of planning, took our time, and spent the last 2 solid days putting this together to where it is right now. I do have a couple more things I want to tweak just a little bit, and I want to toy with getting a little more power. But other than that, I think we're ready to start thinking about making this look more like the Fat Man nuke launcher. Probably going to, most of it's going to be foam fabrication, but to attach that, I figure I can get sheets of plastic or foam and connect them to the rails, and then I can glue other sheets of foam on top of it, just sort of add to this frame here. If you have any questions about this build, or if there's anything you're curious about, please let me know in the comments. And if you have any suggestions, if there's anything about this setup you think maybe could be done a little bit more better, more efficiently, or especially if you have an idea for how I can get more power out of this fella, please let me know. Let's see, today's Friday. We're gonna send this video out to you guys, and then we'll work on this again next week. So we'll have some time between now and then to get some feedback and really nail this thing. I'm so happy with how it's turning out that I can't wait to see it through to the finish line, because I feel like it's gonna be really epic. And we couldn't do it without your support. So thank you so much. Thanks for hanging out with me in the shop today. I hope you enjoyed this look. By the end of next week, we'll probably have more progress on this, so we'll keep you up to date on the next few steps. And I hope you're looking forward to it, because I'm really looking forward to adding more to this fantastic project. Thanks, as always. You guys are awesome and beautiful and wonderful, and we thank you for your support, and I can't wait to do this again next week. So I'll see you then.